My girlfriend lied about being faithful, while secretly living off my money, so I walked away silently and left her broke and alone forever. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and I thought I had the perfect relationship. The kind of love that felt real, solid, like something you could build a life on. I met Melissa 3 years ago at a friend's housewarming party. She was the type of girl who lit up the room without even trying. Bright smile, easy laugh, and this way of locking eyes with you that made everything else fade. We ended up talking the entire night. About dreams. About childhood trauma. About the kind of people we didn't want to become. It felt different. Real Melissa always said she admired my grind. I wasn't born into wealth or privilege. Everything I had, my car, my one-bedroom apartment, my tech job, came from long hours, side hustles, skipped vacations, and saying no to things I couldn't afford. I told her up front, I'm not flashy, but I'm loyal, and I don't play games. She smiled and said, that's exactly what I've always wanted. Someone who won't leave when things get hard. That line stuck with me. Made me feel like maybe I'd finally found someone who saw me. Not just for what I had, but for who I was.
She used to leave little notes in my lunchbox.
You're my forever. She made ramen with me on broke nights and danced barefoot in the kitchen like we were already rich in the ways that mattered. I remember thinking, I could marry this woman. I wanted to. She didn't care about money, she said. Just loyalty, just love. Just me, I believed every word, and that belief? It would cost me more than I ever imagined. A few months after our 1-year anniversary, we moved in together. It felt like the natural next step. We were spending most nights together anyway, and splitting rent seemed smarter than paying for 2 places. She brought it up first, said she was ready, said she wanted to build something real with me. But there was one thing. She looked at me nervously one night, curled up on the couch in one of my hoodies and said, Babe, I want to take a break from job hunting for a little while. Really focus on my painting again. Just for a few months. I didn't even hesitate. I've got us, I said. We'll figure it out. So I took on the full weight. Rent, utilities, groceries, gas, dates. I tightened my budget, stopped ordering takeout, skipped out on drinks with friends. It was fine. She cooked more often, started packing me lunches, posted selfies of us with captions like, grateful for my hard-working man. We were a team. Or at least, that's what I told myself. But then things started shifting. Her wardrobe changed. Suddenly, she had high-end skincare in the bathroom, her nails were always perfectly done, and new outfits appeared weekly, tags still on. When I asked where they came from, she laughed it off. Oh, just some PR freebies from a friend who models. She passes me stuff all the time. I wanted to believe her. Needed to, because every time I came home exhausted, she was there, smiling, affectionate, reassuring me I was building our future. You're the only man I'll ever need, she'd whisper at night, and I held on to that. I held on even as the math stopped making sense. Even as the cracks started to form. It happened on a random Tuesday night. Melissa was in the shower and her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Normally, I never touched her phone. We had that unspoken rule of trust. But the screen lit up with an Uber receipt, and my eyes caught the address. A downtown apartment building I'd never heard of. I didn't mean to pry. It was just right there. When she came out, towel wrapped around her hair, I tried to sound casual. Hey, babe. What's that address? Your Uber said you went there. She didn't even blink. Oh, that's just one of my friends from yoga. We had tea after class. She's going through a breakup. Then she kissed me on the cheek and started scrolling through her phone like nothing happened. Conversation over. Subject changed. I told myself I was overreacting. I mean, people have friends. She was allowed to have a life outside of me. But something shifted in that moment. A cold pit settling deep in my stomach, like a warning bell I couldn't unhear. I lay awake that night staring at the ceiling, replaying her tone. Too smooth, too rehearsed. And yet I hated myself for doubting her. My dad cheated on my mom when I was a kid, and I promised myself I'd never become the paranoid, suspicious guy who sees betrayal in every shadow. So I didn't check her phone again. Didn't ask follow-ups. I swallowed the unease and told myself, that's what insecure guys do, right? But the smell of her new perfume lingered on my hoodie, the one she wore to yoga. It was a scent I'd never smelled before. And that pit in my stomach, it stayed, quiet, heavy, waiting. It started as quiet comments. Little things people said in passing. Things I brushed off with a laugh, even when they stung more than I let on. One night at a friend's BBQ, my buddy Jason pulled me aside, beer in hand. "Don't take this the wrong way, man. But Melissa kinda acts like you're her ATM. You sure she's in this for you? Or for the lifestyle?" I laughed it off. "Come on, she's just trying to find her footing." He raised an eyebrow. "You're her boyfriend, bro, not her startup investor." It wasn't just Jason. My sister, who's usually hands-off about my relationships, asked during a phone call, "Hey, does Melissa ever say thank you? Like for covering everything? Or doing stuff for her?" I paused. I couldn't remember the last time she had. The thing is, Melissa wasn't cruel. She didn't yell or fight or throw tantrums. She just expected. Like my wallet was an extension of our love. Like paying for her Amazon hauls and covering her share of utilities was just part of the role I signed up for when I said, "I've got us." She used to light up when I walked in the room. Now her eyes stayed on her phone. She used to ask about my day. Now it was background noise to whatever influencer drama she was obsessed with. Emotionally, she started pulling away. But financially, she clung tighter. Every time rent was due, she was waiting on a refund or between freelance gigs. I never once saw a dime come in. Still, I kept defending her. She's just stressed, I'd say. She's finding her path. But at night, after I turned off the lights, their voices would echo in my head. "You're more into her than she is into you. You're her sugar daddy. And you don't even know it." Every time I got close to saying something, really saying something, Melissa would flip the script. One Friday, I was dead set on confronting her about the way things felt one-sided. I came home with the words ready in my throat. And there she was in the kitchen, flour on her cheek, humming as she baked my favorite dessert, cinnamon crumble cake. The apartment smelled like childhood. She even lit candles and queued up my favorite old movie. "Surprise," she said, kissing my cheek. "Just wanted to show you how grateful I am for everything you do." That night, she snuggled closer on the couch than she had in weeks, her fingers tracing slow lines down my arm. She posted a picture of us with the caption, "Luckiest girl alive, Karch a grateful Tarsh true love," and tagged me in it. And just like that, the tension I'd carried all day cracked in half. I felt like a jerk for doubting her. Like maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was just tired, overworked, paranoid. She knew exactly when to turn it on. A week later, I gently asked if she could start chipping in a little, just small stuff like groceries or Wi-Fi. Her face crumpled. Real tears filled her eyes. "I thought you were different," she whispered. "I don't have anyone else. You're all I have. Please don't start pushing me away." And there I was, holding her, apologizing, promising I'd never leave. Again. But something inside me had shifted. I kept paying. I kept showing up, but I also started watching more closely, noticing every lie she dressed up with kisses. Every guilt trip wrapped in affection. And quietly, I began keeping mental receipts. It was a Thursday night when she kissed me on the cheek and said, "Girls' night, babe. Don't wait up." She wore her favorite red heels, the ones she claimed made her feel powerful, and a low-cut black top she usually saved for date nights with me. Her perfume hit different that night, stronger, sharper, almost layered. "Love you," she tossed over her shoulder as she grabbed her purse. I said it back. An hour passed, then 2. I was scrolling mindlessly through my phone when a message popped up from my friend Eric, who works security downtown. "Yo, random, but I think I just saw Melissa at the rooftop bar on 6th, not with girls. With some guy, leather jacket. Looked very coupley. Might be nothing, just figured I'd tell you." Everything inside me froze. My hands started shaking, heart pounding in my throat. I stared at the message for a solid minute, rereading it like it would change. Then I grabbed my keys. The bar was 20 minutes away. I parked in an alley just across the street and waited. The music from inside drifted out in muffled beats. I saw the patio lights glimmer through the glass rooftop. Laughed to myself. I'd always wanted to take her there. She once said it was too expensive. Then, like a gut punch, I saw her, coming out the side door, heels clicking on the pavement, laughing, holding hands with a guy in a dark leather jacket. He pulled her close and kissed her, slow and familiar. I didn't get out of the car. I didn't shout, I just watched. Then I drove home, quiet, no tears. No screaming, just silence, and the kind of cold that doesn't go away. The next morning, I woke up before she did. She was curled next to me like nothing had happened, arms slung across my chest like it was any other day. I stared at the ceiling, heartbeat flat. No rage, no heartbreak. Just this cold, quiet clarity. She thinks I'm still blind. I made her coffee, kissed her forehead, and asked how girls' night was. She smiled. So fun. We talked trash, drank wine. You'd be bored out of your mind. She giggled and nuzzled into my neck. I smiled back. Glad you had a good time. Then I spent the rest of the day digging. I started with her TikTok, public account, nothing too revealing, but the comments under her old videos hit different now. Flirty emojis from guys I didn't know. One with the initials MJ kept popping up. Then I found her second Snapchat account, hidden under a slightly different username. That one was a rabbit hole. Late-night selfies, random hotel mirror pics, captions like, "Don't wait up." On Venmo, I scrolled back months. Payment notes like, "Thanks for last night and wine plus whatever that was." One of them even lined up with a night she claimed to be at her mom's. I pulled up my email and started checking old receipts. Uber drop-offs to addresses I'd never been to. Boutique charges on the same day. I remember cooking dinner alone while she said she was having a mental health day. Hotel rooms, twice. I cross-referenced it all. The timeline was consistent, and damning, this wasn't a one-time mistake. It wasn't even a secret affair. It was a lifestyle. A double life, and I was the one funding it. Emotionally, financially, all of it. She thought I was clueless. She had no idea. One of the Venmo usernames stuck with me. It was weirdly specific, something like OJMark88, and it showed up multiple times, always with winks, hearts, or inside joke captions like "next round's on me," or "thanks for carrying me, again." It wasn't a name I recognized, but it felt important. So I dug, I copied the username, searched it across platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and there he was, Jason Markson. And the second I saw his face, my stomach dropped. He wasn't just some random fling. He was the ex, the same guy Melissa had ranted about the night we met. The one who cheated, lied, and used her. The one who left her broken. She'd cried telling me about how he gaslit her, said she'd never love again. I remember holding her in my arms as she whispered, "He's dead to me." Yeah, dead to her, except for the part where she was still sleeping with him. And then came the next punch. His tagged photos. They showed him standing on the balcony of a high-rise downtown, the same luxury condo building Melissa once joked was too cold and sterile for someone like me. Turns out she didn't hate it. She was just pretending. While I was paying for groceries and rent, she was sneaking out to that condo, living a second life in the very place she mocked with me. I stared at his smug face on my screen and felt nothing, not rage. Not heartbreak, just a shift. Something inside me hardened. Not in bitterness, but in clarity. This wasn't just betrayal, it was humiliation. She didn't just lie to me, she rehearsed those lies. And I had been funding the entire performance. That was the moment I stopped being confused. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to vanish and make her feel every empty space I left behind. After that night, everything changed, but only for me. I didn't scream. I didn't confront her. I didn't even flinch. Instead, I smiled more. I kissed her like usual. I asked about her day. She kept lying, kept performing, and I let her, but inside I was done. I went into full silent observer mode. Every girl's night became another confirmation. Every new outfit, another lie. She was so wrapped up in her own web, she didn't notice the quiet unraveling I'd started behind the scenes. I canceled our joint credit card and replaced it with a new one in my name only. Told her the bank had flagged it for fraud. "No big deal, I'll sort it out," I said with a casual shrug. I opened a new checking account and had my direct deposit rerouted. She didn't even notice when rent day came and the old account sat empty. I told her I was moving money around for tax reasons. She nodded and went back to scrolling through Instagram. She'd occasionally glance up and ask if I was okay. "You've been kind of quiet lately," she said one night, mascara wand in hand. "Just stress from work," I replied. "Deadlines are a mess," she believed it. Of course she did. Because she wanted to, And while she played dress-up with her ex in his downtown condo, I was packing up the parts of myself she never cared to know. The quiet, steady man who loved her more than he should have. The man she thought would never leave. But I was already gone, just waiting for the right moment to disappear, with everything she took for granted. Her birthday fell on a Sunday that year. She'd been dropping hints for weeks, not subtle ones either. Circling handbags in online ads, casually mentioning her favorite spa getaway, accidentally leaving tabs open for luxury watches. I acted clueless. When the day came, I handed her a small, neatly wrapped box with a soft blue ribbon. Inside was a delicate silk scarf, one she'd admired months ago while window shopping. She picked it up gently, turned it over once, then looked at me with a practiced pout. "Oh," she said, "it's nice. You don't like it?" I asked. She forced a smile. "No, I thought this year would be something more meaningful, you know?" I nodded. "You're right." Then I pulled out an envelope and handed it to her. Inside was a printed reservation confirmation. Weekend getaway for 2. Cliffside Resort and Spa. Private suite. Ocean view. She lit up. "Shut up, are you serious?" she gasped, nearly knocking her mimosa over as she jumped into my arms. "I knew you deserved more," I whispered. She didn't even glance back at the scarf as she clutched the envelope to her chest like it was gold. She had no idea the reservation was fake. I made it on a free template website. The place doesn't even exist, but it worked. She was giddy, affectionate, suddenly so in love again. She posted a selfie of us with the caption, "He always surprises me, our best boyfriend ever." I held her close, smiled for the camera, and memorized that moment, because the real surprise? It wasn't the trip. It was what I planned to do the moment she stepped out the next morning. She thought I gave her a vacation. What I actually gave her was a countdown. She left the next morning around 10 a.m., keys jingling as she shouted, "Back in a couple hours!" Nail appointment, then maybe brunch with Marcy. I was already dressed and waiting. I watched from the window as her heels clicked down the front steps, her perfume still hanging in the air like smoke. The second the door closed, I moved fast. I'd spent weeks preparing, slowly moving important documents to my work locker, storing valuables in my car trunk under the spare tire. But this was the final sweep. I packed up the last of my clothes, stripped the shared hard drive of my files, took down every picture of us from the walls, and tossed anything I didn't want into a trash bag I dropped at the curb. I walked through the apartment one last time, the kitchen she never once cleaned, the living room I used to dream about growing old in, the bedroom where I once believed her lies. On the kitchen table, I placed a plain white folder. Inside, screenshots of her fake Snapchat account, Venmo receipts with flirty captions, photos of her leaving the rooftop Bar A printout of the condo listing where her ex lived, complete with a picture of them kissing outside, and on top of it, I left a handwritten note. Just one line, "I hope he can afford you now. I'm done funding betrayal." Then I walked out, dropped the keys with the building manager, canceled the lease, and drove away without looking back. Before she even finished her manicure, I had blocked her on everything. Phone, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, even Netflix. No goodbye. No closure, just silence, and for the first time in years, it felt like peace. It was exactly 7 days after I vanished when I got the first message. Melissa's sister, who had barely spoken to me in the past year, suddenly lit up my phone with a paragraph of fury. "How could you abandon her like that? She's devastated. She's crying nonstop. You just left without a word? What kind of man does that?" I didn't respond, just stared at the screen with a blank expression. Not out of guilt, but out of clarity. She had no idea what her sister had done. No clue what I had endured. Later that night, I got a text from Eric, the same friend who had first spotted Melissa at the rooftop bar. "Dude. She tried moving in with the leather jacket guy. He kicked her out after 3 days. Said she was too expensive. Bro, she's spiraling." I said nothing. But a strange feeling washed over me. Not satisfaction exactly. More like closure. She wasn't cheating for love. She was cheating for lifestyle. And when that lifestyle disappeared, so did the illusion. From what I heard, she had to crash at a friend's place for a bit, but most of those friends disappeared fast. Turns out, free drinks and Instagram dinners only go so far when you don't pay your own bills. She even showed up at my office once. Security stopped her at the lobby. They called to check if I'd see her. I didn't go down. The girl who once thought she had me wrapped around her finger was now standing in the cold, completely alone. No condo, no boyfriend, no audience, and for the first time in years, she had no one left to perform for. It didn't take long for Melissa to try spinning the narrative. Within days of being cut off, her Instagram turned into a drama reel. No names, no direct accusations, just cryptic, calculated posts. Some people betray the ones who loved them most. Funny how fast someone can pretend you never existed. I guess loyalty doesn't matter anymore. The captions were dripping with victimhood, paired with soft filtered selfies that begged for sympathy. I started getting messages from mutual friends, some genuinely confused, others clearly fishing for my side. Hey, did something happen between you two? She's really broken up. Says you ghosted her after everything she did for you. I didn't take the bait, didn't rant, didn't expose her publicly. Instead, I carefully selected 3 trusted people, mutuals who mattered, and sent them a folder. Just the facts, screenshots, receipts, dates, a quiet timeline of everything she did behind my back. That's all it took. One by one, her likes started to vanish. The sympathetic comments dried up. People stopped reposting her stories. Even her sister, the one who lashed out at me, unfollowed her a week later. She lost her credibility without me ever saying a word in public. Then came the email, a 5-paragraph essay titled, "Closure and Apology." It sat in my inbox unread. Still does. I saw the preview line. "You were the best thing I ever had and I ruined it." Maybe she meant it. Maybe she didn't. But I wasn't about to give her the ending she wanted. No more attention. No more reactions. She told the world I betrayed her. The truth told itself. And now she was left with nothing but silence. 3 weeks after I disappeared from her life, I disappeared from the city too. Packed the last few boxes into my hatchback, turned off my old SIM card, and drove 3 hours into a new beginning. No drama, no goodbye tour. Just a clean slate. I found a modest apartment in a smaller town. Nothing fancy, but warm and quiet. The kind of place where people nod at you on the sidewalk, where the coffee shop remembers your name by the 3rd visit. It felt safe. Within a month, I landed a promotion at work, one I'd been passed over for twice before. Funny how much sharper your focus becomes when you stop bleeding energy into the wrong people. I started dating again, slowly, no rushing, no pretending. Just honest conversations, clear expectations, and boundaries I finally knew how to set. I wasn't afraid to say no anymore. I wasn't afraid to walk away if things didn't feel right. I picked up painting again, something Melissa used to roll her eyes at. "You and your old man hobbies," she'd say, laughing. "Now?" I sit by my window on Sunday mornings, brush in hand, jazz playing low, and I feel more like myself than I have in years. I started journaling, cooking, running, little things I didn't realize I'd given up to keep the peace. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't walking on eggshells, no performative affection, no manipulation, no wondering who she was texting while I cooked dinner. Just peace. Real peace. My life got quieter. But it also got fuller. And with every passing day, the space she left behind began to feel less like a wound and more like freedom. It had been about 6 months. Life had moved on, or at least mine had. I was attending a regional tech conference for work. Nothing special, just panels, networking, free coffee. I was standing near the vendor booths when I heard a familiar laugh. Or at least, what used to be familiar. I turned my head, and there she was, Melissa. But not the version I remembered. Not the styled, radiant, high-maintenance woman who used to light up rooms with curated confidence. She looked tired, pale, the kind of tired that makeup can't hide. Her clothes were still trendy but worn. Her eyes darted around nervously. She was holding a manila folder, resumes. I watched from a distance as she approached a woman in a blazer and asked softly, "Hi, are you guys hiring by any chance?" I froze for a second. Not in fear, not in anger, just in realization she didn't see me. Never even glanced my way, and I didn't make myself known. I just stood there, quietly absorbing the moment. She looked like a ghost of the girl I once thought I'd marry. I saw her force a smile, nod at something the recruiter said, then step aside to fix her hair in the reflection of a glass door. A flicker of the old Melissa, still performing, still trying to look composed even when everything was falling apart. I turned and walked away, not out of pettiness. Not out of cowardice, but because I truly finally felt free. There was nothing left to confront. Nothing left to say. In that crowded conference hall, she became what she always feared being, invisible. And for me, that was the real closure. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. I don't share this story for pity. I'm not looking for applause. I tell it because I know someone out there is stuck in a relationship that feels like slow erosion. Where love is a transaction, loyalty is one-sided, and your worth is tied to how much you can give. While getting crumbs in return, I didn't scream.
I didn't expose her publicly.
I didn't ruin her life. I simply stepped back. And her own lies did the rest. Melissa always thought she held all the power, that as long as she kept me confused, guilty, and grateful for crumbs, I'd never leave. But the truth is, the moment I stopped explaining myself, the game ended. She didn't lose me when she cheated. She lost me when she mistook my kindness for weakness. Sometimes the best revenge isn't dramatic. It's not yelling in the rain or delivering a fiery speech. Sometimes the best revenge is silence, disappearing without a trace, letting your absence scream louder than any confrontation ever could. Because when someone builds their entire reality around using you, the quiet collapse of that fantasy is louder than any door slam. To anyone feeling stuck, afraid, or doubting your instincts, hear this: protect your peace like it's priceless. Because it is. And if someone mocks, manipulates, or drains you, you don't owe them an explanation. You owe yourself freedom. Walking away without a word, that was the loudest thing I ever did, and it echoed in every empty space she tried and failed to fill after me.